That's a great question that reminded me of something. Um, let's go back to 1992, 1993, 1994, when a messaging language guru on the right, a guy named Frank Luntz, Luntz, who now you can Google this. So it's like, you know how I make fun of Tim Pool because he's bald and he wears a beanie like 24/7? Frank Luntz is that, but different. Frank Luntz had a hair helmet made for him. If you look up photos of Frank Luntz, his hair is a helmet. It's a helmet of hair because he's bald too. But he is, and 30 years ago was a Republican language, words, messaging guru. And he got together with this rancid, corpulent protuberance from the South in the House of Representatives named Newt Gingrich, who kept marrying women who got cancer. And then when they got cancer, he would leave them for another woman who then eventually got cancer. And then he would leave them until he married someone who resembles a 75-year-old porcelain doll who doesn't even look human, who Donald Trump then made ambassador to the Vatican or something. Um, anyway, I digress. So leading up, so Bill Clinton gets elected in 1992, and Newt Gingrich, his corpulent, protuberant self, damn near had an aneurysm. And so he wanted to have a strategy. He wanted to come up with a strategy. And so he finds Frank Luntz and his hair helmet, and the two of them get together and they decide to work on words and language and messaging. And they came up with things, they came up with ideas that, much like now, broke norms. Because back then, it's like there were certain things that politicians just didn't say about each other. You didn't call the other side evil. You didn't call the other side satanic. You didn't say shit like that. And Frank Luntz and Newt Gingrich got together and like, but we could do that, right? And they were like, yeah, we could. And so Frank Luntz starts feeding these words and language to Newt Gingrich, and he starts putting them out there, and he starts training his Republican colleagues in the House and the Senate to use similar language. And then Newt Gingrich had an idea. Because any member of the House or the Senate can take to the floor of the House or the Senate with that one C-SPAN camera and a microphone at the podium if the House or the Senate is not in session. And they can take the podium and they can be on camera and they can say basically whatever the fuck they want to say. And so Newt Gingrich started doing that at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, 1 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning. And he would record himself on the C-SPAN cameras giving these incredibly impassioned speeches to a completely empty House chamber. But the camera didn't show that. The camera showed Newt Gingrich at the podium delivering a very impassioned speech. And Republicans retook the House in 1994 for the first time in 40 or 50 years. And 2 years after that was when Fox News went on the air with Rupert Murdoch and Roger Ailes. And so Newt Gingrich figured that out to feed Fox News with content. And so, yes, Cory Booker. So I'm recording this TikTok right now at 8 p.m. on Monday night. So it's 11 p.m. in Washington, D.C. I would be surprised, and Cory Booker is giving his fake bullshit filibuster on the floor of the Senate right now. I would be surprised if there were more than 3 or 4 other people in the United States Senate chamber right now while Cory Booker is speaking. Because he knows, regardless of whether or not anybody else is there, there's a camera on him. I guarantee you there is not one single Republican in that room right now. I would be surprised if there are more than 3 people inside that chamber right now, but he's streaming it on his TikTok page. He is streaming it on his Instagram page. He is streaming it on his Facebook page. It is being streamed all over the internet by MSNBC, I'm sure by CNN, probably by PBS. Just because a senator is on the floor of the Senate speaking at a podium does not mean that anybody else is required to be in the room, including other members of the Senate.